Alright, so today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Fauna. No, this is not the hatred Fauna that is out on JP and KR. That Fauna will be coming out much later, but today we'll be taking a look at the OG Fauna, the I Am Midnight Sun that just released yesterday on Global, which hopefully, if you did pull for her, hopefully you have her because she is a fantastic unit, but for those who summon on the Veto and Fauna banner, then yeah, definitely she's the one you want to aim for. Anyways, we're going to take a look at her kit, her skills, and then I'm going to show you guys the gear set, talent tree, skill pages, and best team comps you can run with this unit. So if y'all are new, drop a like and hit the sub, and if you do want to check out the Licks and Raya builds, they are on the channel already, in the playlist already for builds, I think. So feel free to watch that. But today we're going to do Fauna, and then the next video is going to be Veto. So let's transition over to Pride Wind, right? A shout out to them as per usual. So Fauna, blue attacker, really good unit for PvE, and I said this before already. If you have blue Yami and you can get farming done, low-key you don't need this unit because she just simply makes farming faster. You know, for PvP she can be somewhat viable, but it's just a lot of people like aren't really going to use her, and to be honest with you, she really isn't offering anything besides that just AoE damage, which can be good, but besides that it's nothing really crazy. She doesn't have burn on AoE, it's only on her first skill, so I'm not the biggest fan of her kit when it comes to PvP specifically, but for PvE, however, I think she is a fantastic unit. So first skill is going to be single target, 60% chance to inflict burn onto an enemy, dealing continuous damage for 2 turns, which is not too bad, pretty standard, pretty normal. Second skill is going to be AoE, which can do somewhat decent damage. If an enemy is taking continuous damage from burn, which is only from the first skill by the way, then you are attacking after granting a 50% lifesteal, which can be good. So a little bit interesting because some AoE units you actually do want to give lifesteal gear. So with Fauna, you can absolutely run that, especially for PvE content. I think this is going to be great. Not too bad. Lifesteal does recover your HP equal to the amount of damage you do, for those who didn't know. And then ultimate here is going to be AoE as well. Increase all attack level 2 for 2 turns. So this one is actually not too bad. So you're increasing your physical and magic attack by 40%, which is really nice. And for an attacking unit, I mean, you really can't go wrong with that. No complaints for me on this at all. I love it. Combined attack here is if the enemy has a debuff, attacks after granting a 30% increased damage dealt, which is, yeah, again, not too bad for an attacking unit. DPS, you always anything offense related you can go with, then I think it's going to be great, especially for a unit such as Fauna. This is not too bad. And then the Veto attack with the combined attack with Veto here is going to be inflict burn onto an enemy, dealing continuous damage for 2 turns. It is single target, a little unfortunate, but I mean, it's not anything too crazy in my opinion. So compared to Licton Raya's combo ultimate, this one sucks tremendously, right? So that is her kit. And then when it comes to the enhanced passive here, favorite damage dealt plus 7%. Now the reason why I don't like this is because this is only PvE oriented, because for PvP I know what units come out later on in the future, and there really is not going to be a full mono red team that you're going to go up against in PvP. Yes, I know a lot of y'all are probably going to say, well, what about Noelle? Isn't she red? Yes, she is going to be red, but you do have to take into account her barrier and all the stuff and the other units that are probably going to be on that team. So for this, I don't like it. This is definitely catered more towards PvE and specifically your gear farming stage, right? Your dungeon stages, your talent stages, whatever it may be. This is great because you're going to be using Fauna for that stuff, and she can do insane amount of damage. But for PvP, I'm sorry, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I definitely do think this is strictly PvE for the most part. I mean, it can work in PvP obviously, but it kind of depends on the team you're going up against, as well as Noelle, right? So that is that. And then the unique passive is it grants a 15% increased damage dealt when HP is equal to 100% or higher. This I think is stupid, okay? Like, you need to be at max HP for this to be proccing off. The moment you go to 99% HP or below, this is useless. So yes, I understand what they were trying to go for with the whole lifesteal mechanic, which is great. But the moment the unit falls below 100 HP or 100% HP, come on. I mean, that's kind of dumb in my opinion. Very poorly designed unique passive. I think, if anything, it should have been maybe 80% HP or higher. I think that would have been good because of the lifesteal. That's very possible. But you're making it to where this unit has to be at max HP at all times in order to get this unique passive procced off, which I think is stupid. I don't like it. But anyways, again, definitely more catered towards PvE, because PvP you're not getting this off like at all, I promise you, unless you can somehow constantly manage to have a barrier or something to protect her, as well as have a healer to make sure she is at 100% HP. Then you are never getting this off, in my opinion. So that is her skill, that is her kit. So let's go back and show you the gear set that I do think is going to be great. Now Fauna, Nothing crit rate, nothing crit damage related in terms of her kit. So I do think something like this would potentially work. I mean, you can kind of go with like a standard kit here. Something, I think this is pretty okay, right? Because when it comes to her stats, it's very, very generic. I mean, take off the percentages for these, and you're looking around to be, what is it, like 15%, 15% crit rate, and then like 50% crit damage. So it is going to be base stats as your every other DPS unit in the game. So, and you have to consider the fact that she does not, you know, raise crit rate, crit damage, penetration, or anything like that. So with this unit, you kind of want to just go with a standard build. Now, I do not think you want to run the physical attack, okay? I do think you can take that off if you want to, but I do think the two-piece set of the gold attack, so let me actually go over here. Where is it? So this would not be too bad, right? The gold set for attack. And then if you want to, maybe you can go crit damage and then have someone on your team that's going to be a support type unit. Go ahead and buff up crit rate. Maybe that'll work just so, but I don't think crit rate for this unit and in gear set in particular is going to be great. Y'all know me. I hate crit rate. I think it's like super duper bad, especially when you can be getting crit rate from your accessories or other support type units, because it offers such a very, very low percentage for a two-piece in comparison to crit damage. However, you're getting a 7%, so it is just a little bit higher, and plus you have to bear in mind that crit damage is already high to begin with as opposed to crit rate, right? So I have no crit rate at all on like any of my gears for substat wise, and it's at base 15%. So you know, you kind of have to work with what you have. But in terms of the last gear set, if you want to, you can run lifesteal. I do think lifesteal is definitely a possible gear set you can run. Unfortunately, I don't think I have any lifesteal gear. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm working with, but if you want to, you can definitely rock with something like this. I don't think that is too bad. So let's just pretend that this is magic attack, okay? So lifesteal here, and then the middle piece can be lifesteal. I do think that's solid because this unit does have a lifesteal part of her kit built in. Bear in mind, if you do have a two-piece set for lifesteal, you have to kill the enemy, and then once you kill them, then they are getting a 10%, or Fauna's going to be getting a 10% HP recovery based on that damage that you did to the enemy. So that is something to bear in mind. Is not 10% lifestealing regardless if you end the enemy off or not, but they have to be dead. So that is the gear set I do think is going to be best for Fauna. Like I said, very, very, very PvE oriented, much more than PvP, sadly. The other Fauna that will be coming out later on, that Fauna is great in both PvE and PvP, but unfortunately that is a few months away. So that is the gear set. And then for accessories, I mean, I would much rather go with magic attack if you want to, but if you want to really go something crit, I do think crit damage is probably better, just because she already has a somewhat decent high amount as opposed to crit rate. And then for your team comp, you kind of want to bring someone supporting crit rate if you can, such as Finral or even Voltos. I think that's great. So yeah, I mean, kind of work with what you have for the most part, but I gave her crit rate, I mean crit damage, and then crit damage, so she's actually getting a decent amount, which is not too bad. So let's go ahead and take a look at the talent tree here. Now for Fauna, I do think your 7% increase in magic attack is not too bad, and then the 2.5 increase in crit rate up to 5 times per wave is not too bad at all. If you want to go with this one, yeah, this one's only against bosses only, which I don't like. The 5% damage increase is only applied to, but okay, sorry, what was this one? No, so if you want to, you can go with something like this. I believe this 5% is going to be what is this 5%, dude? I completely forget. It's been a while, but if you want to, maybe you can go something like this. You're getting a, I believe, a 10% damage increase, which is not too bad on this one. And then this one I want to say is something crit related. I don't exactly remember, but to be safe, and what I do recommend is probably best, because this unit is definitely more PvE, right? And she's not going to be a single target nuke, so she is going to be AoE. Great for your gear farming stages. So if you do plan on taking this unit into like a raid, don't expect her to do the highest amount of damage, just because it is going to be AoE damage oriented for her and not single target. But I just went ahead and gave her magic attack, and I do think this is probably the best one. And then when it comes to your blue talent nodes, your typical defense, defense 20%, and then the crit resistance and defense increase up to 5 times per wave is not too bad. I think that's going to be great for Fauna. Then when it comes to the last two, I do think if you want to, you can probably run something like this, to where you have the 20% chance to reset skill number 2, so that way you have a better chance of proccing off the AoE. Or and this one does also give 5% accuracy and penetration, so just a little bit more offense related. But if you don't want to do that, then you can probably go not damage reduction for sure. Special point increase is not too bad, and then this one I believe is going to do, what does this one do? I always forget. some of them I haven't fully memorized. This is 5% recovery in stamina, so if you want to do that, you can. But yeah, for Fauna, I do think the reset on skill 2 and then the 5% accuracy and penetration is just going to be a little bit better. It's more offense related as well, so you kind of want to maximize on damage if you can. And then you do have a 20% of chance of resetting skill 2, which is going to be the AoE. Very good, and on top of the fact that that is the lifesteal effect, so if you get that off, I think you'll be good for PvE covered. But that is going to be her talent node. And then when it comes over to her skill page, right, this is going to be a great one. So if you do have season 1 Asa, I think this is great just because you are getting a 12% increase in crit damage overall, which is not too bad. Bear in mind, you do want to bring a support type in with crit rate, but if you don't want to do that, then the purple skill page, increased damage overall by 20%, is insane. I do have this maxed out, but I believe the base stat for this is 12%. And then for some substitutes, okay, well, this isn't in-game. Fugolion is not too bad because as long as you're over 50% HP, you do get a 12% increased damage dealt, which is really good considering Fauna is going to have that lifesteal. So I want to say most times she's probably going to be over 50% HP, especially combined with if you do decide to give her lifesteal gear, which is pretty valuable for her kit, then I don't think this is too bad. But if not, then you can definitely run something like Solid to where you are getting, I believe, crit rate increase. So that's going to be another way you can buff up crit rate if you want to. And then when it comes to your generic skill pages, like I said, this one, you cannot go wrong with it. Pretty standard. And then for SR, I do think the damage increase is not too bad. I mean, this one for an SR skill page is extremely goated. Y'all know that this is one of my favorites. So if you can get these, then I think you'll be good for Fauna. Just anything offense related, I think is just good in general because you're not catered towards PvP, so you don't have to worry about it. PvE, I think, you know, you can kind of go more versatile options if you want to and choose the, you know, skill page that you want. But overall, that's your skill page. And then last but not least is going to be team comps, right? So PvE, you can kind of run anything, right? Anything you want to, I think you'll be a-okay. I don't think you can kind of go wrong here, but if you want to be efficient with your whole gear farming and everything, then I do think something like this. If you want to take a tank for the, you know, protection or defense, that's not too bad. When it comes to blue supports, I'm trying to think of global only. Unfortunately, you do not have any blue supports. The only blue support that's going to be coming out that's going to be really helpful is Gifso, but he is not here, so it's kind of pointless to talk about him. And then let me just take off Noel. I think I mean, yeah, unfortunately there aren't any blue support units. I mean, William is, but the thing is that he only buffs up physical attack. So if you want to, maybe you can take William just for that extra damage support if you want to, but ideally it's not going to kind of work out because she is magic and he is physical support, so you have to bear that in mind. But if not, a generic team comp is something like this, and then for the last unit you can either run Soul, Charmy, Blue Yami if you want to. So you have a little bit of variations, but yeah, unfortunately if you do want to take a support, then I do recommend it be Voltos because he does buff up magic attack as well, which is fantastic, really good. But you have to bear in mind that he is green, so against the red type enemies he will be one tap, unfortunately. So kind of bear that in mind. So that is going to be the team comps for Fauna, and then I believe that is everything we looked into her. But overall, how would you rate her, man? She is a fantastic unit, but unfortunately the way her passives are working, they're, in my opinion, useless for PvP unless you can find a way, like I said, to protect this unit in PvP to where he doesn't lose any HP at all. Then yeah, she can be kind of disgusting, but even then it's like, yeah, it's not really that worthy to take. She just does AoE damage, that's it. She does a lot of it, yes, but with Noelle coming out soon, unfortunately, it will be very, very difficult. And bear in mind that if you do AoE, then Noelle will probably counter, and that is something to bear in mind as well. So I'll end it there. Y'all take care, have a good one. Vettel coming up next, and yeah, take care. Peace.